Hi, it's Jess at Tilia here. I'm out here on this gray morning in beautiful Creston, BC. It's been gray for quite a while, for most of the month actually, and it's kind of gloomy. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of gets to me some days, but I find that there's one thing that when I come home every day, there's this beautiful flower, the sunny yellow flower that brings a bit of cheer to my day. And I wanted to talk a bit about it today. It is back here. It's called arnica, and we use it a lot in our remedies at Tilia. We put it into a lot of our salves and creams for trauma relief, so things like broken bones, bruises, sprains. It works really well for healing and managing pain. So we wanted to show a bit about what they can do for you and how you can identify them if you see them out in the wild and you wanted to see if it's arnica or not. And if you're going to harvest, obviously make sure that you have permission to do that. But otherwise, yeah, it's a wonderful plant for so many of those trauma conditions where you've just had an accident, and if you're accident prone like me, I know I like to have this flower or any remedy with this flower on hand. You can use it internally as well. It's often more as a homeopathic remedy that way because you don't want to directly have an extract from arnica. It can, because it's actually toxic. But it's a wonderful one topically, and I wanted to show you a bit more about this beautiful cheery flower that actually makes me happy when I leave in the morning, when I come home from work. I'll show you a little more about it right now. So there are around 30 species of arnica that have been identified all across the northern hemisphere, last I checked anyway, making it somewhat difficult at times to be absolutely sure you're looking at arnica when you're out and about. There's been quite a bit of this hybridization that's kind of resulting in these various species of arnica. But fortunately, this one here, we have a lot of the species growing here in our area, and it's pretty unmistakable. It typically grows with a single stem with one yellow radiate flower. Occasionally we find it with 2 or 3 flowers, but most of them have just the one. It has bright yellow petals around the center of it, so they're about 3 to 6 centimeters long, these petals, and its centers being a cluster of mini florets. That's actually an identifying factor of the Asteraceae family. It's just a bunch of mini flowers in the center. You'll see that in daisies and dandelions as well in the same family. And the arnica species of flowers here that we're looking at is Arnica cordifolia. It has these heart-shaped leaves you'll see here. I refer to this one sometimes as heart-leafed arnica because of that. It has different common names, the arnica flower in general. Sometimes it's called wolfsbane or leopard's bane. I've heard of that, both of those, but I generally just refer to the whole species as arnica. And they all have their own properties and benefits. Arnica montana, which you've often probably heard of, as a slightly different species. Its leaf is not so jagged, it doesn't have those little teeth on it or the heart shape. It's just a smooth one, but also a very healing arnica species as well. Here's another nice cluster I have of it growing here, and I'm going to harvest these flowers because we can use them topically when we're going to put them into our oils and extracts. It is great for bruising, as I was saying earlier, and any damage to and trauma to the tissue like that, because it's very anti-inflammatory and very good at speeding up the cell reproduction and healing that's required in that process. In bruising, for example, you have pooling of blood and damage to the blood vessels, and it helps just reduce and clear that out. And even in severe cases like hematomas, it's great as well for sprains to joints. So sprained ankle, for example, it can just help speed up that process because that can take a really long time to heal. If you've ever had that happen, you'll know. And bone fractures too, even if you have an ability to put it on somewhere, you might be casted up, but you can still try to help speed along the process if you have access to it and can use a poultice or a salve. Great for inflammation from rheumatoid arthritis or other inflammatory conditions that seems to cause that chronic pain in the joints. good for generally painful swollen areas. So now keeping in mind as well in all of these cases that it's for external use only and on unbroken skin, because it can have a toxic reaction if it's applied to broken skin, or even if it's taken internally, as I was saying. It's the constituent in the arnica called the sesquiterpene lactones that are responsible for that toxic effect, and surprisingly enough, they're also responsible for the healing effect that they have on the tissues and the anti-inflammatory action. So it's kind of ironic, but yeah, you're wanting to use it only topically as those cream salves or poultices, in any way that you can without applying it to broken skin. It's perfectly fine to use it as a homeopathic remedy though, and it's so healing that way. It has the effect on the body internally that it does externally that way. It reduces pain and inflammation and fevers and all kinds of those issues when you're taking them as the homeopathic sugar pills. I'm a herbalist myself, so I don't practice any homeopathy, but you can learn a little bit about it if you're wondering how it works so well internally that way. And really, it harnesses the power of that plant when you're taking it that way. So one of the best things to have in your medicine cabinet. This flower is here to help you. Alright, I actually have a small window here this morning. It's finally not raining and the flowers are dry, so I can harvest them. It's the heads that I'm harvesting because that's the medicinal part that we want to use it. And now I can actually dry them, and we can use them to make an oil and an extract, and we can then use them to make our creams. So I'm pretty excited. I got a good little haul here, and there's a lot more that I can go and get as well. Thanks for watching and listening to me nerd out about arnica. We actually have a class coming up on June 11th here called Plant Identification in the Wild. It's sort of a herb walk, and we'll be taking you out and showing you all kinds of medicinal plants and how to identify them. Hopefully you learned a bit about this one, and if you see it, you can appreciate it and maybe nerd out a bit about it the way I have. And have fun out there, everyone!